Our story begins in a place of unimaginable chaos and cosmic creation, long before any living thing could witness it. Imagine a vast, swirling cloud of dust and gas, a stellar nursery left over from the birth of our sun. Over millions of years, gravity, that invisible, persistent force, began to pull these tiny particles together. Clumps formed, growing larger and larger, sweeping up more material in their path. This was the very beginning of our Earth, a process of cosmic accretion, a violent and spectacular assembly. It was not a gentle birth, but a fiery and tumultuous one, as countless planetesimals, small celestial bodies, crashed into the growing protoplanet, adding their mass and immense energy to the mix. This young Earth was a truly hellish landscape, a molten sphere of rock and metal glowing with intense heat. Volcanoes erupted with ferocious power, spewing rivers of lava that coursed across the entire surface, constantly reshaping the nascent crust. There were no oceans, no gentle breezes, only the searing heat of a world still finding its form. The atmosphere was a toxic brew of gases like carbon dioxide, nitrogen and water vapor, completely unbreathable to the life that would one day flourish here. It was a world under constant bombardment from asteroids and comets, remnants from the solar system's formation, each impact a cataclysmic event that would have sterilized any life that dared to emerge. Slowly, over an immense timescale that defies human comprehension, our planet began to cool. The heaviest elements, like iron and nickel, sank towards the center, drawn by gravity to form the dense core that generates our protective magnetic field today. Lighter materials, the silicates, rose to the surface, eventually cooling and hardening to form the first solid crust. This was a crucial step, creating a stable ground upon which the next chapter of Earth's story could be written. It was a gradual, painstaking process, a planetary settling that laid the very foundation for the world we know, a solid sphere emerging from a fiery, liquid past. Then came the water. The water vapor that had been trapped in the thick, early atmosphere began to condense as the planet cooled further. It started to rain, not for days or weeks, but for millions of years. A relentless, planet-wide deluge. This great rain filled the vast, low-lying basins in the newly formed crust, giving birth to the first oceans. These primordial seas were not the blue, life-filled waters of today, but likely a murky, iron-rich green or brown. Yet they held the promise of everything to come. They were the crucible, the very cradle where life itself would eventually, miraculously, take its first tentative hold and begin its epic journey. For hundreds of millions of years, the young oceans churned, a sterile chemical soup under a faint young sun. But within these ancient waters, something extraordinary was happening. Simple chemical compounds, energized by lightning strikes and ultraviolet radiation from the sun, began to link together, forming more complex molecules. It was a planetary-scale experiment in chemistry, an unconscious quest for complexity. No one was there to witness the moment, but from this non-living broth, the first simplest forms of life emerged. These were not animals or plants, but microscopic single-celled organisms, tiny bubbles of existence that we call bacteria and archaea, the ancestors of all life on Earth. These early life forms were incredibly resilient, thriving in an environment that would be lethal to most life today. They floated in the warm, shallow seas, slowly, imperceptibly changing their world. One group, the cyanobacteria, developed a revolutionary new trick: photosynthesis. They learned to harness the energy of sunlight, using it to convert water and carbon dioxide into food. As a byproduct of this miraculous process, they released a waste gas, something the planet had seen very little of before. That gas was oxygen. It was, at first, a poison to most other forms of life, a pollutant that caused the first great extinction event on our planet. This great oxidation event was a planetary transformation on a scale never seen before or since. The oxygen released by these tiny organisms began to fill the oceans and then seeped into the atmosphere. It reacted with the iron dissolved in the seawater, causing it to rust and settle on the ocean floor, creating the vast iron ore deposits we mine today. Over hundreds of millions of years, the very chemistry of our planet was rewritten by these humble microbes. The sky, once a hazy orange or red, began to clear and turn blue. A new world was being forged, one that could support a new kind of life. The rise of oxygen in the atmosphere led to another critical development, the formation of the ozone layer. High in the atmosphere, oxygen molecules were struck by the sun's powerful ultraviolet rays, rearranging them into ozone. This new layer acted as a protective shield, blocking the most harmful UV radiation from reaching the surface. For the first time, the land became a potentially safe place for life to exist. The stage was now set. With a stable crust, liquid water, a breathable atmosphere, and a protective ozone shield, Earth was ready for life to embark on its next great adventure, the explosion of complex multicellular life. Following the long era of microscopic dominance, life began to experiment with size and complexity. In the oceans, the Cambrian explosion saw the sudden appearance of a dazzling array of multicellular animals with shells, legs, and eyes. But the true age of giants was yet to come. After life finally crawled onto the land, evolving into amphibians, reptiles, and vast forests of ferns, the world entered the Mesozoic era. This was the age of dinosaurs. For over 150 million years, these magnificent creatures were the undisputed masters of the planet. From the colossal long-necked sauropods that shook the ground with every step, to the fearsome Tyrannosaurus rex with its bone-crushing jaws, dinosaurs dominated every continent. Imagine a world teeming with these incredible beasts. Herds of Triceratops with their 3 horns and bony frills browsed on low-lying vegetation, ever watchful for predators. In the skies, pterosaurs with their leathery wings soared on the thermal currents, some as large as small airplanes. The oceans were home to monstrous marine reptiles like the Mosasaurus, powerful swimmers that hunted giant fish and even other reptiles. This was a world of epic proportions, a high-stakes drama of predator and prey played out on a global stage. The climate was generally warmer and more humid than today, and lush forests covered much of the land, providing ample food for the vast herds of herbivores. The reign of the dinosaurs was a story of incredible evolutionary success. They adapted to countless environments, diversifying into thousands of species with an astonishing variety of forms and functions. Some were covered in scales, others in primitive feathers. Some were bipeds running swiftly on 2 legs, while others were massive quadrupeds built like living fortresses. They were not the slow, lumbering brutes of early imagination, but active, dynamic animals that cared for their young, lived in complex social groups, and represented a pinnacle of reptilian evolution. Their world was stable for an unimaginably long time, a seemingly permanent feature of the planet's history. But this long and successful reign came to a sudden and catastrophic end. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid, estimated to be at least 10 kilometers wide, slammed into the planet near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The impact was more powerful than billions of atomic bombs, triggering global earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and colossal tsunamis. A cloud of dust and debris was thrown into the atmosphere, blocking out the sun for months, perhaps years. The world was plunged into darkness and cold, causing plants to die and the entire food chain to collapse. The great dinosaurs, along with about 75% of all species on Earth, vanished forever, closing one of the most spectacular chapters in the Book of Life. The cataclysm that wiped out the dinosaurs created a vacuum, an unprecedented opportunity for a different group of animals that had been living in the shadows. These were the mammals. Small, warm-blooded and adaptable, our distant ancestors survived the long winter that followed the asteroid impact. With the great reptiles gone, they emerged from their burrows and hiding places into a new world, an empty world ripe for conquest. Over the next several million years, mammals underwent an explosive radiation of their own, diversifying into the vast array of forms we see today, from bats that conquered the skies to whales that returned to the oceans. Within one particular branch of this mammalian family tree, the primates, a remarkable new trait began to develop. Intelligence. In the forests of Africa, a line of apes evolved to walk upright on 2 legs, freeing their hands to carry tools and food. Their brains began to grow in size and complexity, allowing for sophisticated problem-solving, social cooperation, and eventually, language. This was the dawn of humanity. These early hominins, like Australopithecus and Homo habilis, were the first to shape stones into tools, the first to consciously manipulate their environment to suit their needs. marking the beginning of a completely new force on the planet. The rise of Homo sapiens heralded the start of the Anthropocene, the age of humans. Our species, armed with unparalleled cognitive abilities, spread out from Africa and populated every corner of the globe. We learned to control fire, developed agriculture, built cities, and created civilizations. Our ingenuity has allowed us to achieve things no other species has ever dreamt of. We have walked on the moon, decoded the genome, and created a global network of instantaneous communication. We have fundamentally reshaped the planet's surface, redirecting rivers, clearing forests, and building structures visible from space. Our success has been astounding, a testament to the power of the human mind. Today we stand at a unique and critical juncture in Earth's long history. Our own success has created immense challenges. The burning of fossil fuels, born from the ancient life of the Carboniferous period, is now changing our climate at an alarming rate. Our activities are causing biodiversity to decline, threatening a sixth mass extinction event. For the first time in Earth's 4.5 billion-year journey, a single species holds the future of the planet in its hands. It is an awesome responsibility, yet there is hope. The same ingenuity that brought us to this point can also provide the solutions. Our story and the story of Earth is not over. The next chapter is ours to write. A choice between legacy and ruin. A chance to become wise stewards of this precious pale blue dot.